how do we help our dealers really understand our product and what it can do?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Aloha Pools and Spas Deep Dive Podcast. I'm John Watts along with Brad Cook, and we've got a whole screen full today from different areas, I guess. We'll figure that out. Brad, tell us who we have.
Okay, we have Mr. Ted Vischer, the owner of Vischer Specialty Products, and we have Mr. Kerry Haberenko. Am I saying that right?
Haberenko.
Haberenko. Yeah. And from Vischer as well. And then we have their field rep, Jamie Pittman. And Jamie and I go back, him and my brother go back probably 50 or 60 years, I would say, or maybe 40 years. Is that right, Jamie? And so we go 40. Yeah, we go back, Jamie and I go back probably 30, 35 years, I would think. It's been quite a trip we've been on in this business. But I talked to Jamie a month or so ago, and I said, "Man, you rep a lot of good products, and need to get some of your people on." And so one of the first ones that he thought of was Ted and the folks at Vischer Specialty Products, and so that's why we're here. And to tell you a little bit more about my Jamie and I go back, and but Jamie was at a trade show, I guess, in Houston. And he had this Vischer gazebo that he was repping there, and he said, "I'll give you a deal on this." He told me and my brother, and the deal was good enough I said, "I'll take it." Before Dennis probably had a chance to see the message, so I went down and got it. And it's this really cool. You've seen the pergolas that have the I guess the blind. You might say the louver. Thank you on top, and it'll electric. Yeah, the Stella is the name of the enclosure, and it's got the louvers on top, so you can allow sun in or keep rain out.
Right.
And it comes with a lot of different options for glass or curtain, or it could just be freestanding, just as a shade. A lot of different features, but Vischer has when you look at the product itself, you can tell it's just a well-made product. It's not the cheap stuff that you get at the big box that blows away in the first rainstorm.
And of course, we'll share the link in the description and
sure.
on the screen and all that, so you guys can check out the website. And I was on it earlier and looking at it and was really impressed.
I want to get more of the stuff on display because seeing it is kind of believing, so to speak. And I know they've got some point of purchase stuff that we talked about earlier in the spring and just drug our feet when all the pools started selling, and haven't really done that. But I'm always interested in how you get into the business that you're into. And so Ted and Kerry, I'm going to open the floor to you guys. I just kind of like to know about the history of Vischer Specialty and your why behind being in this business. How'd that all take place?
Mm-hmm. It's actually kind of an interesting history if you go back. So the company started, the Vischer family of companies actually started in probably the 1960s. So my dad and his three brothers started the Vischer company. They were all Dutch immigrants, came to Canada in the mid 50s. And so they were immigrants working here, and they started out in the logging business. They were loggers, and then one of them got into selling lumber, and before you know it, they got into the retail lumber business, and that was really kind of the start. So they did that for probably good 10 or 15 years. They had a retail lumber yard. And then somewhere along the lines of the late 70s, they decided to go into the steel business, which is the steel roll forming business, where you buy steel coils and then you roll it through the machine and make claddings and fascias and that type of stuff. So they went into that business. That was in the early 80s, almost broke them. because that was the time of the 19-20% interest rates. And
Yep.
they were able to get through that. And so then at that time, they also went away from the lumber retail side and went into what we call the lumber molding business. So we would have molding machines, and we would bring in dimensional lumber, and we would mold that into deckings and tongue and grooves, and then that product would be, sold all over, Western Canada, Western US. And so that was kind of the thing that where traction really started to get going. So they went completely out of the retail side, and at that time they had the steel business and they had the molding business, and those businesses actually operated separately. And so as time went on, that the molding business grew, and so did the steel business. But as we went into the 80s and the 90s, what happened is that the government actually had a program where they were trying to entice more value added product. So they're saying, hey, we just don't want to chop down a tree and make it into a board and sell it. How do we encourage a more further usage of the product? So in other words, they wanted to add more value, to break it down, turn it into parts, make something out of it. And
and can I ask, is that
Yep.
kind of taking you from the lumber, from being a logger? Were you still in the logging business?
No,
At that point?
they were completely out of the logging business.
I got you.
So when they were in logging, they were just employees. So they didn't own the business. It wasn't
Okay.
until they got into the retail that they actually were business owners.
I see. Okay.
So at that time they were still in the lumber, because they were in the logging business. Especially my father was very fond of the lumber business. He was very passionate about it. And so as that went on, and then it's like, hey, the government had that incentives that if you could value add your product, then they would basically allocate you timber. So it's like, hey,
Okay.
this is great. And so this is where we kind of started with the specialty division. And it was, okay, well, what do we want to come up with? And so at the time, we were supplying spa manufacturers with cedar paneling that would go on the outside of the spas when it was quite
Okay.
popular.
Yeah.
And so then, hey, they said, we need, there's a market for enclosures to go around these hot tubs. And we well, we could do that. So we started to build these enclosures. We would go into the market, buy the raw material from the primary mill, like the sawmill, and we would bring it in. We would do all the processing that was needed, drying, molding, cutting, making parts, and then we started to build these buildings. So that was where Vischer Specialty came out of. It was still run under the umbrella of the lumber business, and we've been doing that now for probably close to, I'm going to say, 25 years. It started out with just strictly cedar buildings, and then what happened is, as time went on, we started to expand that division within the lumber side. And we realized if you want to stay in this business and be relevant, we're going to have to really start to diversify the product, because that original product that we were building was losing its relevancy in the marketplace. And so we said, okay, if we want to be in this business, we have to become leaders in this business. And so that was the start of the big push of starting to really change the product, where we would look into like the housing market and say, what's the trend out there? What are people doing? Like what materials are they using to put on houses? What are the colors today that people are using in houses? Okay, and then we would take that information, and then we would say to our building, look at our buildings and say, okay, how do we incorporate this information into our structures? And
Right.
and what happened is very quickly we moved away from just being a cedar all wood structure. The original ones had very flimsy doors on little rollers, and we realized we got to upgrade this. And so we started to incorporate like brick, like we would have the imitation brick on the buildings, and we went to painted product. We would use
So
the
what kind of
lumber as
products?
painted. So we would paint our
Okay, painted,
material
I'm sorry,
rather than
right.
just
Okay, yeah.
staining it. So we found all these neat ways of really kind of modernizing the product. And then we realized we're going to have to go the next level. And so what we started to do is introduce glass windows and door systems to our product line.
Right on. Mm-hmm.
And then we said, well, we just can't we had a sliding window and this, no, we need something better. So it was just a story of constant innovation. We realized, we need something that can give a lot of air movement into the buildings. Like if people are sitting in there, they don't want just a small little window. We need a large opening. And how do we design this product so that, like people can put it up easy? And so like it was it was a lot of fun, a lot of hard work. Like, how do we figure this out? So we realized we need a bifold window, and it's got to be, a maximum 40 inches wide. And where do we find this? Well, it's not out there.
Okay.
It's just not there. So what it forced us to do is make them ourselves. How do we do this? So we got to the point where we know what we want, and so we would have to go out and have our design and find partners that actually could make our design. And that early process is that what really launched us to where we are today. So when we make products, innovation is we're trying to stay on the cutting edge as much as we possibly can. It's not like we get to go and look around and say, hey, what's our competition doing? Because the competition isn't doing what we're doing. We're always kind of ahead of the game, and the competition, the next thing was copying us.
That's what I was going to say, that they're asking what's Vischer doing.
What's Vischer doing today?
Right.
And so we constantly have that in mind. Now, over the years, what we've been able to do is like incorporate the tools, which has been a huge help for us, like the tools of how to design this stuff. So like we have SolidWorks programs, we got teams that are working, every day using SolidWorks design and innovation.
Could you tell me more about that? What are you saying? What are you calling it?
So what we did is that we have a division that we had to create within the business, and what it strictly does is design. So we're constantly thinking about new products. So this division, our team of like what's next, what's for the future, they're constantly thinking about that. So we'll have ideas, and then we will sit down and we will talk about those ideas, and we have people will take those ideas and they will draw them. And they'll draw them in a program called SolidWorks. And SolidWorks is a 3D program. So, we line draw it, and then we turn it into 3D, and then we can blow it up, and we can break it into parts, and we can send those parts to wherever it needs to go. And so we can break down the building down to its minuscule point. And so what allows us also to do is that when we design things, like, so we came up to a point where we needed a door system. Okay, so like a swing door is fine, a double door is fine, they're difficult to install. And we said, no, we need something better than that. We need a retractable system, like a bifold door system. So when you grab it, you can get yourself a large opening on it.
Right.
There again, nothing in the market. So we had to design it. We had to come up with an idea, keeping in mind that, these things have to be installed in the field. So we designed it, we test build it ourselves, and then we go work with our current partner today that does all our doors and windows and say, here's the design, this is how you're going to build it for us. And so without that team, we can't do any of that stuff. It's very critical that we have that. That's constantly keeping us out on the front of innovation. So today we're working on stuff that's not even in production.
Well,
Gone are the days of Ted writing something on a napkin and sliding it across the table saying, what do you think about that?
Right. It looks like an ink pen on a napkin right there. But no,
Yeah.
I'm guessing that you guys, when you finish that program, that it spits out a materials list with all the measurements that's needed to, like a build list. Is that a part of that?
Correct. So
program
as
as well?
we do that, as we build this product, it at the same time is making us a material list. So when we hit our final stamp on it, we will have a material list, and we can break that list down to, like, the system that we have today is so sophisticated. I could have a model that's in the field, and it's been there for 4 years, and a customer could call me up and say, look, I have a model, here's the serial number. Okay, I can pull that up. I can tell you when it was constructed, when we shipped it. But I could also follow the raw material back to when it first came through the gate of our factory. So with this system, it really allows us that, we have the full spectrum today, is that when we call it cradle to grave, starting from the beginning right to the end of the manufacturing, and we're well positioned today making the product that we're making. It's been
that's awesome.
Could I ask you to you're second generation, right?
We are second generation, correct? Yes.
So can I get you to let us know when you got in the business? I think it was your father and uncle, I can't remember, something like that.
Yeah, correct.
And when Vischer grew, when I went out there, you still have the lumber part, you have the steel part, and then you have the Vischer. Could you explain that to us a little bit?
Sure.
How that kind of evolved?
Yep. So going back to, like, when the brothers had started the two divisions, so about 35 years ago, it's about 35 now, because the original owners decided to step aside. And so what they did is they stepped aside, and the second generation came in and started to run the business. So they've
that's
been
you, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
And I have siblings in the business also. Okay. And so some of them are here, some of them are on the metal side. And so we've been running it for about 35 years. Only one of the original owners is still alive. So it's been second generation for a long time.
Are you still operating as 3 different businesses?
We operate 2 different businesses today. We operate the steel business, and we operate the lumber side. And the lumber side is the one that's gone through the largest transformation. We no longer are in the molding business. We are strictly in the specialty business. That's it. So the specialty business has grown to take all over the lumber side.
And mostly what we're seeing all of your offerings. Are you basically honed in on the pool and spa industry and the patio industry, or do you guys make any other type of products?
Primary, the business is in the outdoor industry, so the pool and the spa and the patio industry. But like I said, now we've ventured into the sauna business, and so we're building a full lineup of saunas. So we will have probably by the end of the year, we're going to have upwards of 3 lineups that we'll be building. And the accessories that will be going along with it. So the innovation that we put
3 different saunas.
They will be 3 different lines. So they'll be the same sizes in each line, but there'll be different designs. Some will be completely metal clad, and some will be cedar exterior. And then we'll have some entry level saunas also that we will be constructing.
I have a question. 3 different sizes within each line. So
yeah,
right. If you ever, well, Jamie, go ahead.
Yeah, we got in that sauna business just last year,
right,
and introduced it at some trade shows, and it was, I want to say, a booming success to the point where now they're expanding on different models, and different sizes. That's going over really well. I want to make one quick note. If you can see through Ted's window, you'll see a mountain back there, I think. They're in Chilliwack. Hope I said that right.
Pretty close.
BC.
Yep.
Right.
Close. Well, you can correct me. BC. My wife and I, a couple of years ago, went on an Alaskan cruise, and we flew into Vancouver and went in a few days early and drove up to their facility, their factory.
Okay.
And it is like when you walk out the door of their office, it's like a postcard, pictures with the mountains in the
Okay.
background.
How
So,
close is that to Whistler, BC?
You're about 2 hours and 45 minutes from Whistler.
South, north, east?
We
You
would
can't be west.
We
Very far.
we are north. So in Whistler would be Whistler from us would be
We're east.
northwest.
We're
Yeah,
east.
we're east, southeast of
Vancouver,
Whistler.
Whistler is kind of northwest from Vancouver, and
Right.
we're straight east from Vancouver.
Yep.
Oh,
So-
gotcha. All right. I got
Yeah.
you. Yeah. But I know
So we
that's
did
all
get to
beautiful
go
up
to-
there.
yeah, we went to Whistler and
Yeah.
did that tour and got there where the Olympics were and got a picture made and all that. So it was really a great trip. And to walk around their factory was very, I guess, inspiring. It was really nicely done up there is what they did.
Yeah, when I went to Whistler a long time ago, we rode the whatever the shuttle was up there, and looking out to the lake or the ocean. I guess that would be the Pacific Ocean. It looked like what I would imagine Loch Ness might look like. It was it was cloudy over, and you could see islands out in there, and it looked. I don't know what the word is, but not ominous, but
Surreal.
gosh, it was beautiful and majestic and scary all at the same time. I
All
don't
at
know.
once. But that's
If you ever have a reason to get to Vancouver, you want to put, a check mark to go see these guys and see their factory.
100%.
absolutely.
So-
Should be on your
we're about
list.
an hour and 15 minutes out of Vancouver.
Gotcha.
Just straight
okay.
straight east of Vancouver. Yeah.
And I've flown into Vancouver a couple times, but the gazebos, I guess, are all that stuff is kind of inspired by that area. And you were talking about how you had to evolve with the times and the cedar stuff that was just going out of style. I guess would you that when you had to move toward metal and or painting the cedar?
Well, we actually moved away from using a lot of cedar.
It's expensive
because
too, right?
It's expensive, and so like when we're building these structures, we have to take, a lot of things into consideration. We're trying to think about, we got to try to keep it affordable, and then yet add in the look that people are looking for. So, what we did is we moved away from the cedar and we went to a painted product. So it's kind of a waste to be painting the cedar. You have that expensive material that
Exactly.
it does you no benefit, right? So,
Yeah.
So as we went along and we made those changes, one of the neat things that we also did is that we started to incorporate a lot of our sister products, the metal division, into our buildings. So our
Right.
sister company, Westford Metals, which was the other division that was started up, has a mass array of product that they make. They make wood grain, steel siding. They make the roofing material. And so when we design our structures, we also incorporate the products from our sister company, which is next door to us, which gives us like huge benefits is what it does, having access to that.
Very, very vertically integrated, like from milling the wood to rolling the steel to putting the whole building together in a package.
That's what I was going to say. But I thought if you guys were still logging and taking it all the way out to the consumer, that was going to be extremely vertically integrated for sure.
Not quite that far, but we're very vertically integrated.
We also plant the trees.
But I was going to say that cedar. Have you ever walked into a cedar? I guess a cedar closet, but I walked into one of our cedar saunas, and I can't explain how awesome it. A sauna, you get in there to heat and sweat, but I could just sit in there just for the smell of the cedar.
It smells
is
great.
Amazing. And I guess you guys are cedar lining the inside of your saunas still,
Correct.
or is that
correct? Yep.
because I was
Yeah,
just going to
go
say
on.
a lot of like I happen to have a sauna now from another manufacturer, our hot tub people, and the wood smells fine, but for whatever reason they chose not to use the cedar. And of course, I know that cedar maybe one reason maybe that's expensive, and then and I know that there's one manufacturer that will use a knotty cedar because it's a lot lower price. Is that I'm assuming that's why, which
Correct.
is
Correct.
kind of
Yep.
if you sit on a knot, it's a little bit hotter too, right?
You know,
or
most
is that
of
not the case?
our sauna lines today, we are using the knotty cedar.
Okay.
And we're not having any issue with that.
Right,
You know,
okay.
I use it myself. I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
But we do use the reason why a lot of times people will use different species. It has a lot to do with access to the raw material. So if you are going to go into the cedar business, then you have to have good access to cedar. And so where do you get good Western red cedar? It's either out of British Columbia or Washington and Oregon. The primary place where you get it is British Columbia.
Which is right where you are.
We're right where we are. And
Right.
then to get as close to the source of where it comes from is very difficult for people that aren't local. So if you are spread out North America, East Coast, then it becomes more difficult to get affordable cedar. So therefore, they'll look for alternatives than cedar in building a product.
Yeah, and that makes all the sense, because if you think, oh, the cedar's in the Northwest and you got to ship it to the sauna company and say in the Southwest, and then you got to ship it back to the Northwest to the consumer, you know, that you just can't be competitive in an environment like that.
It becomes very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
for
with
sure.
us-
The other part of our saunas is they're all outdoor rated.
Okay.
So when you look at saunas, you'll have, I think, a lot more that are non-outdoor rated than outdoor rated saunas, where, you know, the lumber they choose, you know, can withstand the times, the longevity, the quality of it.
Are they made to go inside or outside of the way you're
Ours
designing
are
these?
made strictly for the outside because
Okay.
we are doing today strictly traditional sauna. So the dry wet sauna. So you can run it dry if you so choose, or if you want, you can add the water to the rocks and create the hot steam inside the building.
To me,
So
that's the
what
only
we are
kind of sauna, quite honestly.
Exactly. It's a traditional, and that's where there's a tremendous amount of growth is in the traditional saunas today.
Well,
And so
the outdoor version, I think, to me, would make the most sense, because Jamie remembers when Dennis and I got in the billiard business. One thing that we found that, you know, back then it was $80 to $100 a square foot to build a house, and we needed like a 15 by 20 room just to put a pool table in, and so we got into it because everybody else was doing it. So we thought that it might be the next thing, right? And it's much like your outdoor sauna. Everybody has room outside for a sauna, but in my case, we have a place that I just had to put an outdoor sauna at because I did not have a place inside to do that. So I can see you just honing in on that niche for sure.
Yeah. And on the traditional sauna side, one of the things which makes more difficult if you put the sauna on the inside, if you really want to experience the water on the rocks and getting the hot steam, you have to get rid of that basically that hot steam, which is water. So you don't want to be
thought about that.
You don't want all that hot steam inside your house. You're going to have to direct vent it now. Otherwise, if you really want to use it, you're going to have all this moisture inside your house.
I've never had an inside sauna until recently, but it's in my shed. So it really doesn't matter because the shed has 18-foot high ceilings, and so you don't. But inside a house, you know, the drywall or the wife is going to say, we've got to get a dehumidifier. I mean, so then
100%.
that makes tons of sense there. That
100%.
have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But so and saunas is kind of new, but your I guess kind of what brought you here was all the different designs on the gazebos. And I don't know if you have a favorite. The Stella is one of my favorites, but there's one, I don't know if it's called the Colorado or what.
That's it.
Yeah, the Colorado is pretty awesome.
But tell us some more about, because I don't want to say the whole thing, because one, I'll butcher it. And second, it really wasn't my idea, but it was a really cool idea about the ability to kind of make it your own or customize that Colorado.
Yeah. So we kind of, that was something we kind of morphed into. So when we're building buildings, there again is we're trying to be innovative. So we came out with the Colorado probably close to about 7-8 years ago. We came out with it as a standalone 11 by 14. And that was the building that we came out where we had innovated. The retractable door systems were on there.
Okay.
So that was the first time that retractable door system was really in the industry in this type of a structure. Had great success with that model. And then sure enough, what happens is the dealers are saying, hey, we need bigger sizes. Now, the interesting thing is that when we created the Colorado program, is that nobody, even our customers, even us, we didn't realize that there was such a market for larger buildings. And so what we did was, okay, we said the next year, okay, if you want something bigger, we're not really interested in building maybe another model. How about if we build extension kits? So we designed a 40-inch extension kit, so we could basically increase the size of the building. That got ourselves some great traction, and they said, "Hey, can you make it a little bit bigger?"
Okay, right.
And so we designed an 80-inch extension, and that was getting great traction. And then a conversation came up. Hey, I had a friend of mine back in Montreal who put one of these buildings in his backyard, and he goes, I want you to build me an 11-foot extension that we call a veranda. I just want it roof and I want it open. So I'm like, and I built it for him. And then when I was in Montreal, I went to look at it. He goes, this is gorgeous. And he was our rep for that area. And he goes, we got to sell this. I says, this is, I don't know. Even one of our largest customers, when we presented to him, he's like, is anybody going to buy something this big?
The price keeps on going up every time you add,
it was, right? Even for the stores, it was like, they were like, like, I don't know, guys, like, really? So once we introduced that, we got traction. And at that time, we realized, hey, we can start mixing and matching these things. So we realized that, okay, you can put a 40-inch on this side and an extension on there. You could put two buildings together. And so we just needed to, create the kits that would allow that to happen. And
so the whole system's modular?
The whole system is modular, correct, yes.
You can do more than one 40-inch. You can go as far as you want to go with it.
You could just keep adding on to it.
I remember at the first year you guys came out with it, Jamie took me over to the booth at the International Pool and Spa Show. And he said, show me the 40-inch system. He said, so if somebody wanted to add a bathroom on and make this kind of a pool house and add a bathroom on that, and Jamie, I don't know if you remember that or not, but that little 40-inch add-on was just perfect for something like that.
Yeah. And those conversations, Brad, pushed us into making another an 80-inch extension where it is I don't remember the name now, Kerry. What is it?
The Annex.
The Annex, correct. The Annex. And the Annex has no windows. Has no windows, just a single door. And so now we added the Annex on, so that there's an 80-inch extension for anybody who wants to do exactly what you said. Oh, you want to put a bathroom in there, you want to put a pump house in there, you can add this to either side of the building if you want. So we created these modules for the building. And then we just needed to train the people of how this all goes together. So for the last 5-6 years, we would do it with drawings and training on the showroom floors, and it is just taken off. for anybody who understood how it worked. So the salespeople who says, I get how this works. When they got it, our accessories, like the extensions on the Colorado, shot up like 60-70%. I would say
Wow.
today, if we sell 10, to give you an example, at least 60 to 70% are going out with some type of an extension. And some people just go crazy with it. We've had it where we're adding 2 buildings together, or we've got a building and we've got a veranda and a building, and so they've ended up creating this 30, 35, 40-foot wide building, okay, and they have it for their different needs, whether it's a sitting area, barbecue area, and so it's really been very successful.
Let me add this to it, Ted. One thing that's really cool is when this product shows up, it could be 1 crate, it could be 8 crates, right? But a typical Stella, I think it's 2 crates. Is that right?
Standard,
depending on your accessories, right?
Correct. Yep.
In any of these buildings that show up, I want to use the word DIY, but it's very limited on the tools that you need to assemble it. There's no cutting of anything. It's all pre-fabbed that just connects together. Drill guns and screws, and that's really what's cool about it is, let's say that you have a project, Brad, that somebody wants a construction. Now, if it's a super custom deal, that's another story. But if we have something that's in their realm that would make them happy, you're talking about having a decent foundation to set it on.
Right.
And you're talking 1, 2, 3 days assembly versus having 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks of construction of getting something done. So
Exactly.
That's really has some very unique advantages of the speed of putting these outdoor enclosures together in a very short period of time, and somebody having a very quality back outdoor structure that you could add TVs to it and fans to it and whatever you want to add to it.
That's what I was going to ask is, how easy is it to add electricity to have stuff like that so that you can accommodate, say I want to sit out there with my laptop and charge it up. I want to charge my phones. Is there channels for electricity? Are they preset for that, or is that extra, or what do you have to do?
Today we don't have any channels that we've set up that you can run wiring through, because the structure is generally solid timber, so that's not an easy way to run your electrical. Today an electrician will come in and he has to run the wire to the building, no matter, just like running it to a spa or a sauna. And from there, they can run it through conduit, set up the lights, the electrical, and that's how it's being done, and it works just great. Yeah.
But you are able to put light switches and outlets and wherever you want into the building.
Wherever you want. Yep.
Whatever you want.
The panels are all made on a 2x3 stud, so it's really no different than your 2x4 stud in your house. You can pull through. You can surface mount, but you can hang a fan, you can mount a TV. As long as you're using those upright studs, there's a lot of strength to the building.
Yep.
So we've talked about the Colorado, the Stella, and your sauna lineup. I know there's several other items. Is there another one or two that's the most, or which one is the most popular, or just kind of walk us through the line, if you don't mind.
Right before we get that, let me add something. On these Stellas, it's when I went out with my wife and we got inside a Stella at Ted's property, and then they had this planned out, but it had the glass sliding doors, and we're inside this building, and it's quiet, it's comfortable, and then there's actually Ted and Carrie, I think, and somebody else there, and he said, okay, we're going to let the outside in.
Okay.
And they stand up, and within 45 seconds, this thing is completely open on all four sides.
All right.
So that the evolution of today, we currently on that Stella, four-sided. I want to say we offer curtains. Last year, we introduced screens, like you see the automatic screens on outdoor kitchens.
Oh,
They're not
really?
automatic, but they just pull down.
Okay.
So we can add that as an upgrade. And then when you add the glass doors, it's like if you've seen on social media, you see these nice homes that they'll go back there and start opening the doors up. And now
Yeah.
their outdoor area is part of their home. That's what this
Panoramic.
is.
Right. Kind
It
of
is
like a
really cool to do.
panoramic doors.
So I just
Right.
wanted to add that in there
Yeah,
with
no
most
problem.
all our structures.
Before Brad, I go into some of the other products. The one thing I think we definitely should touch on is that when I was talking about how we introduced the Colorado program with the expansions of the 40-inch and the 80-inch and the 11-foot extension, and I talked about how we would have salespeople, and if they really got it, then it would just take off.
Right.
So what that actually did for us is we need to find a way. How do we help our dealers really understand our product and what it can do? So in 2025, and then we launched it, but we really launched it in 2026, is that we came up with a program that we call the Configurator Program. And what that program will do is that we sourced out a touchscreen, and we don't make any money on the touchscreen. We just want to get that tool out to our dealers. And so if we have a dealer, for example, that has a program with us, and the Colorado is part of that program, so a dealer will have the Colorado program, they could have the Stella program, they could have access to our other products, whether it be the Sintra or the Thomas or Timothy, etc. So it would be the single slope line Colorado, the louver line, which is the static, and then the four slope gazebo line with the retractable doors and the aluminum windows.
Right.
The program is basically a tool that teaches and shows the salesperson and the consumer what the product can do. So, for example, and we can give you a demonstration. We're prepared to give a demonstration, so that because visual is always better.
Right.
A consumer
do
could
that
come
here?
into. Yeah, we could do that here right now. Kerry's
Awesome.
prepared to do that.
If you can, do I have a screen share on here?
So what that tool is going to be one of the driving tools that we will now be using going forward. So we talked about innovation. So this is part of our innovation tools. How do we help the dealers sell Vischer product? Not every dealer can afford to put all our structures on their showroom floors, but how do we give them access to the product so that they can show their customer the options that they have available? And so with the Configurator program, we can have it in the showroom as a beautiful screen, touch screen, and the salesperson can give the customer an experience right there of actually kind of semi-custom building what they're looking for. And in the past, you have to use a lot of words and pictures and say, well, this can go over here, this can go over there. But
Yeah.
now we're building it right in front of them. We're moving
Right.
it. We're adding the 40 or the 11-foot extension on the side, and the consumer saying, we're close. Oh, that's exactly what I want. This is what I'm looking at. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And we're able to show that to the consumer right there in front of them. They can actually pull up a QR code and snap that QR code, go home, and then project that building in their backyard. Whether it's going to be with a Colorado, whether it's going to be with a Stella, whether it's going to be with any of our other structures, even with our saunas, that ability's all going to be there.
And when you say project it, you mean through AR, augmented reality,
Correct.
like
Yeah.
you can
Correct.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
iPad, iPhone, they'll go in their
Yeah.
backyard and they'll be able to set that product wherever they want in their backyard and spin it around. And man, that's how the angle we want it to look right there.
Yeah.
That's
If
a
you,
really cool
walk
feature.
inside and look out the windows, you're seeing your backyard.
Yep.
If you look up, you see the actual roof of the structure. If you walk 50 feet away and turn around, you can see where it's placed in your yard. So
Yeah.
it's a really good live demo for the people to picture what
That's
it's going to
awesome.
look like in their yard.
Yeah. Like a dealer could go to a customer's backyard and maybe they're trying to do a whole project of maybe an in-ground pool and
Yep.
patio and they're saying, hey, you know what, when we're done, we could add a building. Well, and they could pull up their iPad or their iPhone, they could show the customer, they could actually do some configuring right there on the spot, saying we could put it here, it could look like this, just getting the tools in the dealer's hands and then showing them how this works. And we're trying to keep it as simple as possible.
I appreciate you guys talking about this because I'm sure I just gained another project
for pools.
for pools.
Actually,
So-
you already have.
I'm already working on one very similar, but now
Yeah.
I'm probably going to have to integrate AR into it.
Yeah.
So, Brand, here's the sale. First, you got to get a monitor up there where you're selling, right? But I
Exactly.
can see you, Dennis, your sister, whoever,
Mm-hmm.
that are selling an in-ground vinyl liner, a semi-ground, an above-ground, I don't care. And then this is
Same
an
manner.
upsell. But now that you've got that and they're coming in, they're not really expecting an outdoor enclosure. They're thinking it's going to cost all this money. And then you give this demo, send them home, and it would be a nice little upsell to go with their package of their swimming pool that they were purchasing from you.
Very much so, because just about every yard you go to, that if not the first phase, the second phase after a pool is going to be some sort of shade. And everybody would dream to have a pool house if if the budget would allow. And these buildings, if you compare to a stick built type of building, I think they're going to come in at a fraction of the price.
Absolutely.
Would you guys agree?
Yeah. 100%.
I've got a customer in Nebraska that was looking at a custom built, and it was going to be $180,000 to $200,000 for the custom built, and it was going to be a 2-month project.
Oh my God.
With that being said, I'm sure any consumer watching this is asking, well, how much are they? So
Well,
could we get
they turned around and went with a Colorado with a veranda with an 80-inch extension and an
Okay.
80-inch extension. One of the extensions was a washroom, change room. One of the extensions was the equipment room. Then they had their sitting area, and then they had their hot tub under the veranda. They had a big screen TV on the front right beside the swimming pool. And the entire thing cost a fraction, like we're talking a third of the cost of the custom built, and it was done in 2.5 days.
Wow. Yeah. So
Because it just falls out of the crate and goes together with, a ladder and some screws.
right. And so, just so you know, 99/100ths is a fraction.
Right.
However,
Well, they said a third, and since the
I
other
was
thing was
thinking, I'm thinking
Oh,
they're
we're
falling
just
out of the
math.
crate. Close,
A third
but
is
not
still
quite.
a fraction.
no, a third is definitely a lot. Is 33%.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Of the
Right.
total price. But
Yeah.
I've always said when you're saying at a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
99/100ths.
Hey, I'm in
That's a
shape.
fraction.
Round is a shape.
Yeah, I think to kind of give you an idea, really what we're dealing with is that depending when we're talking about the Colorado program, we could be as entry level as 25,000, up to 60,000, 65,000, depending the options that you put into this. How many extensions am I looking for?
Right.
I mean, you could have a Colorado with an 88 extension. You're probably looking at somewhere around 30,000. But if you're looking at a Colorado with two Colorados and join them together and some extensions, well, now all of a sudden we could be in the 40, 50, 60,000. But you got a big building.
How about the Stella? Where does it start? That's really attractive too.
Right. I was going to say that I know there's more entry level numbers out there from you
So
guys.
like the Stella, we could be looking at entry level somewhere around the 10,000. Okay. 11
That's
by
what I was
11.
thinking.
Yeah,
Right.
and there again, it has a range going all the way up to 29, 30,000. But there again, we could be joining buildings together. So we with the Stella program, we have an 11 by 11 and an 11 by 14. You could put two 11 by 11s together. You can put an enclosure kit on one of them, a screen kit on another. It all depends what type of accessories you want to add into it. You can put 11 by 11 and 11 by 14. One can be enclosed, one can be open. They all could be enclosed. So we've created a lot of variety there. And the reality is that it's not that complicated of a program. It's just that when we add the accessories, there's just a lot of options that you can come up with. And there again, that's the key. How do we keep the program simple with the options that we have available?
The fascinating
thing about the configurator comes in.
Yeah, I mean, and the whole thing is you got this stuff that's kind of on a shelf, but you've got it designed to where it's customizable at the same time. So
100%.
And Jamie said something about it, unless you go into a custom, but you're not really doing that when you're bolting this stuff on. It's your custom, but it's not a custom pricing, I guess would be one way to say that. Yeah, for sure.
So Ted, I wanted to ask, because you mentioned that you at one point you were looking at what other products can we do? What can we do next? And that's it. So I wanted to ask before we close, what's next, or is there anything out there on the horizon that you're looking at? Like, one thing I was thinking was these look like they could be awesome little tiny homes. Have you ever thought about something like that, or what is next? I don't want to just put words in it. What is next?
Sure, yeah. So we have fresh products today, such as the Stella program, the Colorado program, the Sauna program. So our energy is being put into those items today, and what we're trying to do is bring in more accessories to these programs, is what we're trying to do. So, for example, the Stella, we have new wall kits that we're going to be introducing. So we're going to have more ability between the entry level and the deluxe model. So some people don't necessarily want to have the door system on a Stella. They would like something that can keep the bugs out, to keep some of the weathers out. And so we're trying to find ways of making that more affordable. So one of the keys, especially jumping off the Colorado program, where we have the extension kits, what we have found by doing that in that program, that has expanded the amount of customers we can sell to, because we don't just have one or two options on a building. We have multiple options trying to service the needs of our customer base that's out there. Like, we have customers that want it, they would come in and say, I love that building, but I need something bigger. Well, we can provide that for you today. On the Stella, I love it, but I don't want the fully enclosed system. It's not going to, I don't need that. It's way more than I need. Let's get you something in the middle. Let's make you shade products. Let's make you, bug proof. How can we make this experience better for you and more affordable? So those are the things that we're focusing on right now on the building side.
And bug proof around this area is a must for sure. And I'm thinking as I visualize all these screens coming down on the four sides, and I know we probably need to close, but is that Stella, does it have a door as an option?
Correct. It will have a door as an option.
Okay.
Yes, it will. So some of the things like with the retractable screens, today we are looking at motorizing them. Okay. Yeah. And if you go to our Stella, the open and closing louvers, they're all off grid, meaning you don't plug 110 into it. Okay. It's all solar powered. Very successful program for us. We had to build it from scratch. It's a unique system, makes it easy. And now we're working on motorized shade systems. We're working on lighting packages that will be able to be coming to our products very soon.
Beautiful.
So we're adding all these extras into there. And so that's where our focus is.
The louvers actually have a unique design that they designed to make them. You can explain. I want to say it's even patented. I'm not quite sure, but it's a unique design in the louvers.
So what we did with our louver system, and I know we're running out of time, but when we designed our louvers, we're trying to make sure that we're unique. okay? And our system is designed to carry load. So most louvers, what we call are a center pivot. So if you have a louver, so imagine this is a louver and you have a pin on this end and a pin on that end, and that's what sits on the perimeter frame. Okay, and then gravity helps you open and gravity helps you close. Great system, works really good. But you can't put any load on that because all the weight is on those pins. We design an edge pivot system, so the pin is on the bottom of the louver, so it opens and closes like this. And what that allows us to do, if we have a beam, the louver will rest on the beams in the inside of the building. So when you look at a Vischer louver, you have your exterior frame and there's two large beams running down the center. That means when the louvers close, it acts exactly like a regular roof. It's now carrying load is what it's doing. That's a very unique system. If you try to get the load that we can carry in a standard louver system, you're going to go from a $10,000 building to a $30,000 building, a $35,000 building, because these louvers and the whole mechanism has to be so heavily engineered. And even then they'll tell you, and don't leave it open when the snow comes, because
well, exactly. And that's where those little cheap things that you see around will be on the ground. Because I was thinking, I know why you had to do that, because you build in the Northwest, but we had an ice storm this winter right there that would demolish, a lesser system there that it wreaked havoc on a lot of places here in the southeast. So yeah, that's good for most of the nation, most of the United States, and parts of Canada, I'm sure, as well. So
parts of Alabama.
So says my brother. Yep. Mm-hmm. So okay, what are we missing? I know there's some little spa enclosures. There's probably even less than the Stella. And I guess if somebody's watching this, they can go discover for themselves.
Yeah, we're creating structures like 9x9s, okay, and 10x10s that, because the spa business was where we started, okay, right. And so we have buildings that go over hot tubs to create, shade and protection from the weather, and then we'll have louvers that can open and close to kind of give you privacy if you want.
But you can add on. It could start off as a gazebo, and then you can add louvers to the back.
Yeah. Correct. That's right. It can start out as a base structure, and then you can add on. So we have that option, or we've created kits that say you can buy them like this: two-sided louver with a barn stool, or two-sided louver. Because even though we have some of these great options to do some customization, we know that the 80% buy them like this. So we're going to give you some options, but also here's the standard one. If you want to just order it, there's the code, buy it like that. It's all ready to go. Comes in one package. It's all in there. And
so that lineup has a 9x9, an 11x11, and 11x14.
Okay.
Base comes as post and roof, 4-slope metal roof, and then you can add louvers, bars, roof extensions.
And what are the retails on those?
They're averaging probably, averaging probably around 6,000.
Okay, so start a little lower, and you can option your way on up.
I mean, I would say we're probably could be getting down to 4,000 to 6,000.
Yeah, we're looking at 4,000 to 6,000 in that range for the base models.
So sounds like we got a little something for all budgets. And quality product too.
Yeah,
built to withstand the weather in the Northwest and that occasional ice storm in the Southeast.
Yeah, and then we also, Brad, have the 4-slope lineup, which we have. We have two lineups, and we say 4-slope, so it's a 4-slope in a building that comes as an open, which we were just discussing, but also an enclosed line, and we have two tiers in that. Well, actually, we actually today have 4 tiers. So we have the same structure, which we offer as an enclosed building, which we have a soft window. So it's as a soft window that can be removed. That's an entry level building. And then you jump up to the next level, which will be all glass and retractable door systems on on this 4-slope enclosed. They come in three sizes, 11 by 11, 11 by 14, and 14 by 14. And there we jump up to single door retractable, double 2 doors retractable, or 3 doors retractable.
John, John's got his work cut out for him, because I'm saying, like, every time you change this model, in my mind, John is going in there and
he's wanting a photo of each one of these.
He's going to configure it as you go. So you may not see this podcast come out for about 6 months, because he's going to be in there, like every time you change
the
that.
good news is everything is going to be on that configurator website.
Right.
There you go.
Everything will be there, and this is where this is John, where we come back and we say, training is the big thing. But now we've put it all on the visual. You just step through could step through the program, and it will show you everything. Here's your base model. Here's your single door. Here's your double door system. Here's your triple door system. Here are the sizes that it comes in. So we've taken that verbal and put it into animation in many ways, and just simplified it for you.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to playing with that and building a podcast. I thought we could build a podcast studio, and then that you could sponsor, and we could just use it from here on.
Hey, we're going to the New Orleans Trade Show, Jamie, and we're going to set up a little 10 by 10 booth and try to interview a lot of people like yourself and like these guys as well. So we're
that'd be neat.
A little joint venture with our advertising company. That
good deal.
That works for us. So,
Well, gentlemen, Ted, Carrie, Jamie, Brad, I appreciate you guys all. We are a little over this time, so I'm going to wrap us up. We'll have to talk again sometime. We appreciate you coming on. We thank you so much for your time today. And this has been another edition of the Aloha Pools and Spas Deep Dive Podcast. We're going to put some links in the description and show you the configurator and all the cool stuff that I'll be trying to put up on screen during the whole thing. So thank you, and dive safely.